Hello everybody, welcome back to Excel Dashboard Analytics. Welcome to the Professional series. Just a quick recap. What we covered in the Beginner series was mainly focused on the basics and fundamentals of Excel, getting used to the interface before learning how to build dashboards. Okay, whereas in the Intermediate series, we learned that Excel Dashboard Analytics, it actually all begins with pivot tables. So we are learning the foundation of how to go about building pivot tables and how to use data analytics with pivot tables. Alright, so as we take one step forward, we move into the Professional series. We'll be learning the world of pivot charts. Alright, we're going to learn how to build, construct and format pivot charts. And then we're also going to be learning about slicers, how to use slicers with interconnected pivots. And finally, towards the end of this series, we'll be focusing a little bit more on visual analytics to create very impressive, professional-looking data dashboards and analytical reports. Alright, so basically this Professional series will be bringing you one huge step closer to be able to build impressive, beautiful looking dashboards, and that's going to be a lot of stuff covered in this series. Okay, so sit tight and enjoy this series. Alright, for chapter 1, we'll be starting with an introduction to pivot charts, understanding what exactly are pivot charts and what can they do. Okay, so the key topics for this lesson would be to firstly understand what are the different chart types of pivot charts, what are the different quick layouts, chart elements, preset styles Excel provides, and also what kind of pivot fills layout can you configure to create final chart output. Additionally, we'll also be covering how you can build a second chart overlay on top of your existing chart so you can create multiple effects there. Okay, so basically that's about it for chapter 1. Let's quickly get started. Alright, so what you're looking at right now is a quick pivot analysis of sales volumes, showing a breakdown of sales regions by products. Okay, so we've been working on the same data set that we've went through in the Beginners and Intermediate series. We'll be using the same one here, so it's familiar with you. Alright, so in this pivot analysis, we're looking at sales volumes for 2016 versus 2015. And we show the breakdown of the respective sales regions classified by the products. Okay, so once you're done with the pivot analysis, something like that, you want to create a visual pivot chart. Okay, so to do that, basically just click on the Insert tab on the top left corner, click on Insert tab, and then scroll to the middle and click on Pivot Chart. Okay, when you click on Pivot Chart, it's going to create this pop-up window. And you're going to see that on your left column, there is this section where you can look at the different kinds of chart layouts possible. Alright, it ranges from columns to lines to pie, bar, area, stock, surface, many different kinds of pivot charts out there. Alright, so in this case, let's just go ahead with the simple column one. There is also basically different variations of charts within the column type. Okay, let's go ahead with the column. Let's just click OK. And straight away, it will pop up a small little chart like that. Okay, and then let me just enlarge it so that you can see it a little bit clearer. So this is the basic setup that Excel provides once you launch a pivot chart. Okay, at the top left corner, you'll see that this is talking about sales volumes. So this is actually the value that we're looking at. In this case, the values that we're looking at is the sales volumes. So on the top left, it's showing sales volumes. And on the bottom left and on the right side, it's basically, you see these little buttons here with arrow pointing down. This is basically a filter function where you can literally just filter off the type of data you want to be showing on your pivot chart. For instance, year, if I just click on it, and then it will show me that there is 2015 data or 2016 data that I would want to show. Okay, in this case, if I just click for 2016 data, it would change accordingly, just showing 2016. If I just want to see 2015, there you go, it shows 2015 accordingly. If I want to see both, I'll just click select all, and then I click like that. Okay, same thing for region and products, it basically works the same. Okay, for instance, if I just want to see smartphones, click on smartphones, it's going to show just smartphones. Okay, so that's basically, it's a little bit, it's pretty common sense over here in terms of using the buttons. You can actually also create the filtering mechanism in your pivot table. For instance, if I just want to look at 2015, I can click on the pivot table here, click on 2015, and that will affect the pivot table as well as the pivot chart. So it's the same logic over here. You can actually do the filter on the chart itself via these buttons, or you can actually do it on the pivot table itself. In this case, I think for more professional looking reports, you wouldn't really want to see these buttons showing up on the pivot chart. So what I recommend would be a much cleaner, much more professional approach would be to actually hide these buttons. So for instance, if I hide all fill buttons on the chart, it looks like a typical normal chart right now. But what's behind the mechanics of this chart is actually the pivot table. So that's how the pivot table chart works. Okay, it's drawing off the logic from the fill layout that you have created in your pivot analysis table. Okay, so for instance, if I just want to see accessories, I just can click here under the products. I just look at accessories, and then it would just show accessories accordingly. Okay, so I prefer this is a much more intuitive method. Now let's move forward into the mechanics and a different configuration setup of a chart. Okay, click on your chart. You notice at the top column, there is this pivot chart tool section. Click on format, and you're basically able to select different kinds of format. This is basically for the outline. In this case, we'll just stick to black. Not so much over here in terms of the format. It's basically configuring your shape fill, all of this, and you can just play around with it and make the changes accordingly. But I think what is more applicable would be, let's first look at the design. There is a quick layout that you can actually just use. Excel provides you different kinds of quick layouts whereby they have different kinds of settings already preset, and it's for your use. In this case, the most default layout one, there is a chart title followed by horizontal axis, vertical axis, major grid lines, and all of that. You can do chart layout for instance, where there are data labels above each bar, and some of them are a little bit more different. We have a data table at the bottom for chart layout 5. Basically, if you want to see the different types of chart layouts, you can actually just mouse over the selection, and it would show a preview of how it will look like. So if you see any that you particularly prefer, you can actually just click on it and you have it. And in terms of the chart styles, notice on the right side, more towards the right side of the ribbon, you can see that there are a lot of preset styles that Excel provides you for your pivot chart. Okay, if you want to see the full suite of them, just click on the drop down list like that, and they are all here. Okay, so usually this is a quick and easy approach to create a more professional looking chart using some of Excel's preset styles that they provide. Alright, in this case, I think as you get more acquainted with pivot charts, usually you would want to create your own particular style. Alright, so to create your own customized preferred style, look and feel, Visual Analytics will be covering that in the later part of this series. I think for now, let's just stick to some of the basic preset styles that Excel provides, and then we'll just go ahead. So basically, that's what you have for chart styles. Let's look at this black one here, for instance. If you want to add different chart elements, for instance, right now what's lacking is a chart title, and you want to add a chart title. How do you create the chart title? Just click on add chart element on your left, and it have a drop down list of all the various chart elements you have. So for instance, if I want to click a chart title, I'll just click above chart, and then I can call this sales breakdown by region across products, and then I'll just underline it. There you go. Okay, so I just created a chart title like that. In terms of making the respective changes, say for instance, this is the legend. I would want to configure my legend. I'll just bring it more towards the top. I'll just opens up the format legend, and then now it's showing on the right side. I prefer it to be on the top side, so I'll just click on top and then I'll close it. There you go. So it's now on the top. If you want to change your font sizes and all of that, you can just make the changes over here. So I will touch more on those details later on as we create customized looking charts. Now, moving forward, we can show you about the different chart types. So if I want to create a line graph, just click on line graph, and there you go. It now becomes a line graph. Okay, if you want a 3D looking kind of column, you can actually create it like that. Okay, 3D looking column. or you can do different kinds of variations like that, and then it's all in different styles. So basically just play around with these functions, change chart types, and then you can actually create different looking chart views, and it's all up to your own user preference. Okay, I usually go with the column and the bar because it's very clean, it's very neat, and it basically conveys the same message as the other charts. So I guess from a more professional point of view, if you want to create impressive looking reports, I think one point to note as well is that you want to create very clear reports. So you can choose a lot of very fanciful looking charts, but I think at the end of the day, it's also crucial to select a chart that demonstrates the clarity of the message. Okay, so that's about it for this chapter. I hope that it has been helpful to at least give you a glimpse of what pivot charts can do. It depends on the kind of analysis that you have firstly created with your pivot tables. And then from your pivot tables, if you want to create different looking charts, you can just straight away create them. If you want to make changes, you can actually just make changes on your pivot tables actually. So that's about it. I'll be covering more details in the subsequent series. I'll see you in the next chapter. Alright, see ya!